We want to move now to lesson 3, where we are interested in the manner of articulation. We have looked at the place of articulation, the location. When we give speech sounds, where are they located? Now we want to ask ourselves, how are they articulated? I have a definition here by Fromkin-Rodman, who says that the manner of articulation is a traditional way of describing the way the airstream is affected as it travels from the lungs up and out of the mouth and nose. Manner of articulation is the traditional way of describing the way the airstream is affected as it travels from the lungs up and out of the mouth and nose. So in the production of speech sounds, we'll see that the way air flows into the lungs or out of the lungs affects the way we articulate sounds. Now, in the previous lesson where we said, we talked about the place of articulation, I hope you remember that. And again, remember that we are dealing with consonants. We shall deal with vowels later. Now, we need to make a distinction between vowel sounds and consonant sounds in relation to manner of production. Consonant sounds are the sounds that are produced with some kind of obstruction of the airstream in the vocal tract. When we pronounce consonant sounds, we have some obstruction. The air that is getting in or out of the lungs is obstructed. While in the production of vowel sounds, the air flows relatively freely out of the air stream. So the impending air creates different stricture types. When we're pronouncing sounds, we have impending stricture types. It's good to define what a stricture type is. A stricture type is the degree to which the articulating organs stop or interfere with the flow of air. In a layman's language, one asks if the air is flowing in the mouth freely or there's obstruction in the production of the sounds. This includes, we now want to look at the manner of articulation, and we begin with number 1, the plosives. These occur when the articulating organs come very close and the air flow stops completely. Now, how does this happen? This happens when pressure builds behind the articulating organs. And when the organs are set apart quickly, the air escapes with a plosion. You might call it a small explosion. When such sounds are produced, they are known as stops. This is because there is complete stoppage of air, and once released, the air escapes with plosion. I've said that in a layman's language, a plosion is like a small explosion. Now, we have examples, and this can be oral plosives through the oral cavity, or nasal stops through the nasal cavity. We have examples in the oral plosives. We have p, we have b, d, t, k, g. Listen to me say the sounds again. P, b, d, t, k, g. When those sounds are released, there's a small kind of plosive. Then we have the nasal stops. We have m, n, and ng. We could have some examples for the oral plosives. For example, p for people, the initial sounds. B for balloon, balloon. D for dog. T for tick. K for keg. G for gauge. Those are examples for the oral plosives. Then we have the nasal stops where we have m for man, n for noon, and ng for sing, the final sound in sing. Now, number 2, we have the fricatives. These are sounds that are produced as a result of organs coming close together in such a way that air escapes through the organs, therefore causing some kind of friction. And when this friction is caused, it is audible. It can be heard. Of course, the degree of opening may not be the same for all sounds produced in this manner. The degree of opening is slightly bigger than that of closure. When the organs come together, the air escapes through these organs. And when the air escapes, there's some kind of friction which can be heard. Now, fricatives are said to make use of close approximation stricture. And I have given examples of fricatives below. We have f for frog, v for van, s for sick, z for zeal, for this, for those, sh for shoes, and j for pleasure. All these sounds, when they are produced, there's some kind of friction. Then we have laterals. Laterals make use of what we call close approximation. When they are produced, the mouth is partially closed. There's partial closure in the mouth. So first, what happens is that the airstream is blocked by the tip of the tongue. But then this airstream is allowed to escape along the sides of the tongue. In English, the only speech sound that is a lateral is l, l, as in the words light, light. Notice the tip of the tongue blocks the air when it touches the palate, but then the air escapes through the sides or the blade of the tongue. Lift, lift, light, loss, loss. Please say the words with me so that you can feel where the air is getting out through. Then number 4, we have approximants. Approximants are sounds that are produced with the articulating organs wide apart. The articulators that are involved in the production of these sounds are wide apart. The air flows out without any friction. There is no friction at all. Let's look at the following words as an illustration of this. We have words like yell. I want you to pay attention to the initial sounds. Yell, yell, yes, yes, yak, yak. The initial sounds is said with air flowing out without any friction. The second examples are in the words wedding. Pay attention to the initial sound of the words. Wedding, wound, wedding, wound. There is no friction of any kind as the air is flowing out. The organs are wide apart. Then we have trill. Now this is articulated with 2 stricture types. There's an alteration between complete closure and open approximation. The 2 are used repeatedly. A good example is in the production of the sound r, r, as in the word road, road, rock. The initial sound r is a trill, articulated with 2 stricture types, where we have complete closure and open approximation. Then number 6, we have what we call affricates. Here, in the production of these sounds, what happens is that initially there is a closure as for a plosive. Then the air is released slowly with friction, as in the case of fricatives. Maybe we can remind ourselves by looking at fricatives. We said fricatives are produced as a result of organs coming close together in such a way that air escapes through the organs, causing friction. Now, when we look at affricates, initially there's a complete closure of, like in the case of a plosive, but then now the air is released slowly with friction as in fricatives. As in the examples of the 2 sounds, ch, as in church, and j, as in judge. These sounds are referred to as affricates. Church, judge. Church, judge. So there's complete closure, then it's released, the air is released with friction. Then another sound we have here is the flap. Often when we think of flaps, we think about birds of the air flapping their wings. But in English, the word flap is also known as the tap. These are sounds that are formed when there's a very brief, complete closure. The active articulators touch the passive articulators very briefly and lightly, and then we have the production of the sound. So a flap or a tap is a sound that is produced when we have very brief closure of air, and then it is released. And we find that both the active articulators and the passive articulators come together. This is very common in American English when they are pronouncing the sounds L and N in words like water. For British English, we say water, but for American English, they talk about water, water, butter, butter, better. So the sound pronounced there is known as flap. I hope so far you have noticed that sounds are produced in different manners. And I have highlighted this as we have moved on. Now we want to do a little exercise here where I hope you have your pen and your notebook with you, where I would like you to identify the manner of articulation of the initial sounds in the following words. Please remember, it is the initial sounds, the first sounds of the word, the first sounds of the words. So please take them down. We have cheery, funny, loony, crazy, happy, merry, busy, jolly, and silly. Look at the initial sounds only. So to wind up the lesson for today, we began by saying we want to look at the production of sounds, the manner in which speech sounds are produced. And remember, when it comes to the production of speech sounds, we are talking about speech sounds used in natural languages. All the speech sounds used in languages spoken by human beings. So for example, a sound like f will be pronounced the same way across all languages that use it. V will be pronounced the same way in all languages that make use of that. Please take the assignment seriously and ensure that you go through it before the next class. So again, I'll say thank you and stay safe.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.